Hello and welcome to another Dragon Ball FighterZ video. Today, TGN Anime presents a character profile for Nappa. Nappa's moves in general are slow but really strong. That makes him a character that is tough to extend combos with, but he's got really good mix-up with his Saibaman gimmick and can deal a ton of damage without spending meter, as he hits like a truck. In general, Nappa's normals are pretty slow, but they deal some heavy damage. One of his normals you want to keep in mind is his down heavy while in the air. Nappa will dive towards the opponent and bring him all the way down to the ground. You can also fake this move by holding down the heavy attack button, at which point Nappa won't finish it, he'll sort of stumble in the air, and it can be good for mixing up your opponent. This also means that Nappa does not have an aerial launcher, so if you're looking to launch your opponent, you have to do it from the ground. Speaking of launchers, his down heavy on the ground doesn't have a lot of range, as Nappa just sort of claps his hands above his head, so some of your conventional combos might not work too well with this. Make sure you hit that practice mode and figure out what you can combo into this. For instance, you usually cannot go from a down medium into a launcher, but his standing medium works just fine. To make up for his lackluster launchers, Nappa has a lot of range on his standing heavy though. He lunges forward a significant distance, allowing him to engage from medium range. And then we have his medium attacks, which also have some unusual properties. First, his standing medium is actually a low attack. It must be blocked while crouching, and his down medium is the exact opposite. It can be blocked while standing. So it's like Nappa has his medium attacks completely swapped. Moving on to his specials, first up we have the Blazing Storm with quarter circle forward and a special button. Nappa blasts the ground with an explosion, which you can trigger from the ground or the air. If it connects, the explosion will send the opponent flying. Now this is the furthest that this attack will reach. It's not full screen, but it's pretty decent. But if Nappa is closer to the opponent, he'll actually still get them with the explosion, so there's a bit of tracking going on. This is also Nappa's attack as an assist character, and despite it looking straightforward, it can be used as a launcher, can be used as a combo extender. It's actually pretty versatile. Next up we have Too Bad with quarter circle backwards and the special button. Nappa will fully block any melee attack from their opponent and then attack them with his elbow. Nappa will delay the elbow and potentially block even more attacks. Now only melee attacks will be blocked. Special attacks or supers cannot be blocked by this, so it ends up being a good counter to overly aggressive players. It can be good to get out of a corner situation. It's essentially a situational counter. Next we have Arm Break with quarter circle forward and an attack button. This is an overhead attack no matter which attack button you press. The light attack button comes out faster, the medium attack button has bigger range as Nappa runs forward before performing this move and then hits the enemy twice, putting them into a hard knockdown state. And as usual, the heavy attack version costs 1 bar of meter and is both fast and has the range that you love, putting the enemy into a hard knockdown state. Finally, we have his gimmick, the Saibaman with quarter circle backwards and an attack button. Nappa plants a Saibaman on the ground, and after a short time, the Saibaman is born and attacks the target. Now, the way the Saibaman attacks the target will be different depending on the attack button you pressed. First, the light attack version jumps at the target, crossing up to its back, then hits him with a low attack, and finally jumps at him and explodes. The medium attack version starts with a projectile, then a low attack, and then explodes. And the heavy attack version costs 1 bar of meter, and it's kind of a mix of the two. It starts with a projectile, then a jumping attack, crossing up to the target's back, then another projectile and a low attack, finally jumping at the target and exploding. Now, despite the Saibaman crossing up, the opponent doesn't actually have to hold the opposite direction to block. They still have to crouch to block the low attacks, but they don't have to change the direction of their block. If you hold down the attack button when you perform this move, you'll actually delay the birth of the Saibaman. They'll stay on the ground for a longer period of time, and this way you can keep your Saibaman a bit more unpredictable. Also worth noting, your Saibaman have a hitbox, so if they're hit by an attack, they'll be out of the picture and won't perform their moves. Let's move on to his supers. Nappa is pretty standard with 2 supers at his disposal, a level 1 and a level 3. His level 1 is a stronger version of his special, Blazing Storm. It's called Giant Storm with quarter circle forward and the right bumper or trigger. It only works while you're on the ground, unlike the Blazing Storm special, and the range is about the same, but hey, the explosion is much bigger. That's what this game's all about, right? And his level 3 is the Break Cannon with quarter circle backwards and the right bumper or trigger. Nappa will punch the enemy from very close range, and if the attack connects, he'll then do the rest of the super, where he shoots this huge ki blast from his mouth. But the punch needs to connect. Keep in mind this is a very close range super, and it's a normal punch. It's not a command grab or anything of the sort like Beerus or Trunks. As far as auto combos go, this is what happens when you mash the light attack button. And this is what happens when you mash the medium attack button. And now that we know his moves, here are some tips on how to use him. Nappa's greatest strength is his mix-up potential. He's got an overhead special attack with his arm break and his Saibaman that can attack independently, so you can coordinate with their attacks for some high-low mix-up action. This is great for applying corner pressure if you manage to plant a Saibaman ahead of time. So how do you do it? How do you safely plant a Saibaman? Here are a couple of great situations for doing just that. After a complete combo where you put your opponent into a hard knockdown, if you're not planning on finishing this combo with a super, this is a good time to plant a Saibaman. To get ready for your next engagement, the opponent is on the ground, you're completely safe during the planting animation, and after he gets up, he's in a 2v1 situation. Saibaman can also be included in combos, usually with the help of an assist. We're not going to go too deep into this because it kind of depends on the team that you're running, and not all assists work the same, but the principle applies even outside of a combo. Call in for an assist to cover for you while you plant a Saibaman, and if you're successful, you're ready to initiate something new. Learn your Saibaman routines. Know their moves by heart. Only by knowing this will you be able to coordinate with them efficiently. And that's basically Nappa's biggest strength, his initiation. If he's able to plant a Saibaman, he's in a very good position to start a full combo. Now, when the tables have turned and you're the one being pressured as Nappa, you can stop the pressure by using Too Bad. This is a great counter to an offensive playstyle. It's got a lot of invulnerability frames, and you can follow this up with an assist if you want to combo into it, a vanish works as well, or just straight up throw a super for a quick, easy, heavy punish. Just don't try to block key blasts or specials or supers. Trust me, you will regret it. Thank you for watching our last character profile in Dragon Ball FighterZ. I want to thank all our sponsors for making this show possible. You too can support this channel by becoming a sponsor. Just follow the link in the description down below. You get access to a Discord server with exclusive sponsor videos and game nights every single month. But if you don't want to be a sponsor, hey, I still love you. Your comments, your feedback throughout the series have been amazing, and even though we're done with the launch roster, I plan on making these for DLC characters too as soon as I get my hands on them. So stay tuned to the channel, folks. If you want to watch another character breakdown, you can find them all in the playlist up there. If you're in the mood for something else, there's also the video at the bottom. But as always, thank you very much for watching. My name is Globku, and I'll see you guys next time. Boy!